Hey, welcome back everybody. Happy Wednesday. Hope we're having a wonderful middle of the week here. And we've got some pretty active things ongoing out there, from flooding, severe weather, to even, some signs that the tropics might be getting back into the groove of things here. And we'll briefly touch on that towards the end of the video. And kind of talk about that a little bit. But again, we do have some things going on back at home we need to discuss. In fact, yesterday we had some pretty strong storms and some flooding move on through portions of the mid-Atlantic. Even had a tornado warning there for a little bit near Danville, Virginia. To my knowledge, that storm didn't end up producing a tornado, but we had some very impressive structure throughout the mid-Atlantic. In fact, I posted a picture on Twitter, if you didn't see that, of a storm moving through the Charlotte area with a very impressive shelf cloud there and almost a mothership-like appearance to it. So again, you can check that out on Twitter. But again, a pretty feisty day yesterday. We're going to do it again today. The good news, though, is we do have some nicer, drier air on the way going towards this weekend for portions of the Midwest and potentially even portions of the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast could get in on that nicer air. So we'll break that down for you in today's video. Now, if you haven't already subscribed, please do so. Again, the goal is 10,000 by the end of hurricane season. So, ideally like November 1st-ish time frame. And personally, I have no doubts we'll get there. We've gained, about 100 subs over the past week or two during this quiet period. So I think once things really pick up in the tropics, we'll really have no problem at all getting there. So again, thank you to everyone new. Like the video, that helps the channel out a lot. And comment, let me know where you're watching from and how much rain you've gotten at your location specifically over the past week. I'd love to hear some of those reports. Alrighty. With that said, let's go ahead and dive on into things here and taking a look at satellite imagery. Again, it's a cloudy start to this July 24th for many of us up and down the eastern seaboard. We've actually got this weird kind of little break in the clouds here into portions of the Ohio River Valley where you're kind of sandwiched in between two different areas of lift. One area coming down out of Canada and another is just kind of on the edge of this kind of southeast ridge and this trough back towards Texas that is just funneling all this moisture and cloud cover. So again, kind of this little Goldilocks zone here in between, which is kind of cool to see on satellite this morning. But also, again, it is a rainy morning for a lot of folks as well, especially down near Texas and Louisiana, Mississippi. You folks are really getting in on that rain this morning down near Houston, Shreveport, and kind of even up into the Jackson, Mississippi area. Again, a lot of rain falling here, but we're also seeing widespread showers throughout much of the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic. Atlantic City, even up near Long Island, Scranton, just offshore there too, off the northeast coastline, some pretty good rainfall happening. Same story down here near the Outer Banks, some good rain just offshore this morning. But the other area I want you to notice is this area of showers and storms up into the Midwest. This, again, is part of a trough and cold front trying to move in out of Canada that is likely going to bring some impressive rainfall totals to some people, including severe weather chances this afternoon. But the thing I think a lot of people are going to be excited for is that nicer shot of drier air behind it. And some of us up into Minnesota and Wisconsin probably already feeling that this morning. And that will only, expand and get better for many folks throughout the day today, and especially going towards this weekend as more of us get in on that drier air. Now, main threat east of the Rockies today is going to be some flooding and severe weather. Again, we've got two areas of flash flood watches in effect. One for the Carolinas from Raleigh down towards Fayetteville, back towards Monroe, Columbia, Darlington, Florence, back towards the Augusta area. Again, kind of right through the Midlands of the Carolinas. Could see some flooding this afternoon. Also down here, again, into the Houston metro area. Some flooding concerns from all of that rain that we have seen. So again, that'll be something we're watching out for today, definitely through many of these regions. Something that, again, our eyes will absolutely be on. Out west, though, again, just hot and some fire danger for many of you folks, even up into the Dakotas and out towards Colorado, Wyoming, and kind of surrounding areas there. So, again, some things to worry about that way as well. Now, severe weather outlook this afternoon, the main thing we're going to be focusing on is this marginal risk that is kind of weirdly shaped here, but stretching from Iowa all the way to North Carolina, although kind of missing some areas there in between. But again, anywhere in that green area could see strong to severe storms this afternoon. Main threat will be strong straight line winds and a little bit of hail, but don't rule out a brief isolated tornado, especially up into this region here through the Cleveland, Erie, and Buffalo area. We'll probably have a little bit of enhanced spin to watch out for. Again, tornado threat is is still low, but if there was anywhere on the map here that probably has a higher chance, probably going to be up that way. Also, we do have a slight risk of severe weather down into Arizona as monsoon season is in full swing there. Could see some strong storms with some microbursts and downbursts this afternoon that way. Also, a couple strong storms potentially up here into Oregon, Idaho, and Montana, which we don't see all that often. So kind of interesting to take a look at that. Flooding is another threat. Again, we've been dealing with it. It's funny, we went from crazy drought to crazy rainfall, and right now we're still in that crazy rainfall period. Slight risk of excessive rainfall from Virginia Beach all the way through the Carolinas, all the way back down towards the Texas Gulf Coast. Even a moderate risk here just outside of Houston there between the Texas and Louisiana border there along the Gulf of Mexico. Again, we've seen a lot of rain in that area, and it's raining good this morning as I showed you on radar, so definitely some enhanced flooding threat that way. Tomorrow, that threat shifts off a little bit more towards the Carolinas as well as bullseye here near Texas. So again, I feel like we've been talking about this a lot, but even a week ago I said, next week it's going to rain a lot, especially in the Carolinas and especially in the Gulf area of Texas and Louisiana. And sure enough, here we are, and that is continuing to be a threat, although really anybody in the southeast could experience flash flooding. These areas are just going to be a little bit more prone to it. This afternoon, tomorrow afternoon, and even Friday afternoon out here near the coastal plain from Myrtle Beach, Columbia, Florence, Fayetteville, New Bern, Wilmington, Greenville, North Carolina, even into the Outer Banks. But again, anybody in the southeast could experience flash flooding, so don't let your guard down if you're outside of that yellow area. Just know that that yellow area has the highest chance of seeing that excessive rainfall. All right, let's take a look at some maps for this afternoon. We'll start with the northeast, where again we have a severe weather threat, and you'll notice getting into this evening, here it comes. Here's this line of storms working down out of Canada, kind of stretching itself towards Ohio and Pennsylvania. Again, any of these storms could produce strong straight line winds, a little bit of hail, and a brief isolated tornado cannot be completely ruled out before eventually that turns into more of a squall line overnight tonight about 11 p.m. here. You can see a real light show through portions of New York State, Vermont, New Hampshire, Massachusetts even, before eventually that line of storms kind of dies off a little here into the overnight and into the early morning hours of tomorrow. And you'll notice waking up tomorrow morning, again, still could see some isolated strong storms, especially look out here near Ohio, some storms still as that trough is kind of trying to swing on through here. But overall speaking, should clear out for tomorrow morning, and just really some leftover scattered showers and storms possible. Again, some of which could be severe Thursday afternoon. And a couple different places to watch out for. One up here in Maine could still see some leftover strong storms on Thursday, but also down this way into the Delmarva, the northern mid-Atlantic. Again, a little bit of a short wave showing up here. Again, that morning convection I showed you in Ohio tomorrow morning, by the afternoon, could be out near portions of the Pennsylvania, Maryland border there, even into the DMV. And again, that could congeal into a pretty strong line of storms by the afternoon. Again, straight line winds, strong hail, and embedded tornadoes, not completely out of the question. But for everyone else in the Northeast, a much nicer Thursday than probably we're going to see today. And then by the time we get this into Friday morning, much nicer conditions overtake just about all of the Northeast. So kind of something to look forward to there, getting through today, tomorrow, and then by the weekend, nicer conditions arrive. All right, Wednesday afternoon, that is today through the southeast. More of the same, widespread scattered showers and storms. Again, some of these could pack a punch, especially up through Virginia, North Carolina, and South Carolina. This area right in here are going to have pretty good wind shear values for July standards. And not necessarily favorable wind shear for tornadoes per se, but there is going to be enough wind shear. It's going to help to tilt these storms and allow them to kind of really feed off of that Cape value at the surface without just collapsing in on themselves. So again, strong straight line winds, and I think some pretty beautiful structure as well this afternoon going to be possible through here. So again, watching out for that. Those move on through during the afternoon, during the evening hours. Again, flooding going to be a threat as some of these storms move slowly and train over the same areas. It's going to be something we watch out for during the overnight. Again, a lot of these storms still working through, widespread rainfall, and it's going to continue that way even into our Thursday. You'll notice here we go Thursday afternoon, we do it all again. More storms fire. In fact, we might not even really get all that much of a break between Wednesday and Thursday. But notice these kind of areas where some of this rain kind of trains over the same areas, and even back towards Louisiana and Texas, which I'll show you again here in just a moment, a little more in depth. But again, A lot of rain today, a lot of rain tomorrow, and then kind of finally clearing out a tad, I think, overnight Thursday into Friday morning, where potentially this weekend some of that drier air could even try to ooze down into the Carolinas through a backdoor cold front. And I'll show you that map in a minute as well. All right, Midwest, what about you folks? Well, again, less of a rainfall threat, and you're probably wondering, well, why is that? Well, this trough has kind of already worked on through for you. Drier, cooler air. Notice this 8 showing up on your map, this high pressure. That is convergence aloft, divergence at the surface, and that spells nice blue, clear skies for the most part. Although on the edge of this, again, could still see some showers and storms to the south through Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, maybe even through Michigan today. Could see a couple showers and storms. But by the time we get into Thursday afternoon, look at this beautiful weather through the Midwest. Again, all that rain centered to the south where we have some lift, but over here, again, probably nice blue, clear skies and drier, crisper air as well, which is really going to make it feel nice. And kind of, we've been lucky up in this part of the country so far here towards the second half of July, at least. First half was brutal. Second half, we've had a couple of these shots of drier, nicer air, and even getting into Friday morning here, again, that high pressure slowly scooting off to the east, so rain chances might slightly return to folks kind of back out this way, but all things considered, again, another beautiful day out here in this part of the country. All right, what about the South Central Plains? And this map is a weirdly kind of weird. Sorry. Anyway, back towards the South Central Plains. Wednesday afternoon today, again, it's going to rain a lot through the Gulf Coast of Texas and Louisiana. That's why we have that flooding threat up. And it's going to be a common theme, on and off heavy downpours, even back towards New Orleans, Lake Pontchartrain, Galveston Bay, and kind of these areas of Texas. Again, going to see some showers and storms throughout the afternoon. Could be severe, a couple of them, but heavy rainfall and lightning will be the big threats. And then we'll do it all again Thursday. Here we go. More rain along the Gulf Coast states here. Louisiana, Mississippi also getting in on that heavy rainfall as that continues. And wave after wave after wave of rain for at least the next 3 days. Unfortunately, no sign of relief from the humidity and mugginess in this part of the country. But again, the same cannot be said for everybody. And here we go. Latest GFS model, our dew point map. Again, this is such a good map to use this time of year to look for any signs of relief from that muggy feeling outside. And you'll notice this afternoon already some of us are getting in on that nicer area of air. Again, northern Wisconsin, the UP of Michigan, even portions of Minnesota, dew points down into the 50s and even 40s in spots. That's going to make it feel more like fall than summer, at least on how heavy the air is. Now, it is still going to be obviously hot outside. It's going to be warm. It's summertime after all, but it's going to feel nicer. And you'll notice by the time we get into Thursday afternoon, look at this nicer air oozing south into, even the thumb of Michigan here, or the mitten as we call it, I guess. Some of you folks have let me know that in the comments, which is a pretty cool name. But even down into the interior northeast, nicer air working on through. Again, dew points down into the 50s. And watch what happens this weekend. Going into Friday afternoon, continuing to work southward, widespread 40s and 50s for dew points as far south as D.C., Baltimore, West Virginia, Ohio. And then we get into Saturday, and notice what happens through Virginia and the Carolinas. Some of this nicer air tries to ooze southbound. I think it'll get to at least the Virginia-North Carolina border on Saturday afternoon. But after that, for Sunday, this could really tries to ooze south. And look at this. In Myrtle Beach, Fayetteville, Raleigh, we're down dew points in the low 60s potentially in the afternoon. That's about as good as you could ask for this time of year. And I think even other spots in the Carolinas, Charlotte, Greensboro especially, Greenville, Spartanburg, probably going to see some nicer, air as well. Even if we're at a dew point of 64, 65, that's still better than 74, 75, which some of us have been dealing with. So that's nice. That'll lead to a nicer weekend. Unfortunately, though, next week, here we go. We're right back into the heart of summer, muggy air, hot temperatures, and all out. Just not a very fun time. So again, enjoy it while it lasts. And the latest forecast from the Climate Prediction Center here agrees. Next 6 to 10 days, any sign of relief is going to be very limited as a heat dome once again works back over. Very high probability of above average temperatures to end July and start August here. And just not very fun. Now, we could see some swaths of some more average temperatures, we'll say, here through the south. But again, it's not going to have nicer air. It's still going to be muggy. Just increased afternoon storm storm chances are going to kind of lead to that nicer feeling air. And then temperature-wise, or excuse me, precipitation-wise, again, slightly increased rain chances in the east, drier out through the Rockies looks to be the theme, again, to end July and start August. So watching out for that. All right, what about the tropics? We've, had some, yesterday's video, we talked a lot about what does it look like in the tropics, why is it been so quiet, and when is it going to wake back up? Well, latest European model is starting a trend, and this started yesterday afternoon and went into the overnight, and we'll see what today looks like, but there is a wave out here in the Atlantic that eventually is likely to make it here towards the islands, kind of right at the start of August here, and again, it's this kind of wave right here of low pressure. And the European model yesterday really tried to develop this a little bit, but overnight run again tries to develop some weak low pressure here in the 7 to 10 day time frame in an area that could see development here, or chances of development increasing in this time frame. So again, nothing to write home about right now. Don't get worried, but just know that, as I talked about yesterday, as we go into August, I think chances are going to slowly increase for tropical development, and by the time we get to the middle of August, I think we might be all bets off. But again, we've got a good 3 weeks or so till then. But even, this is the wrong map, sorry. But note that, again, our ensembles are indicating, at least the European ensembles are indicating the chance that maybe something tries to get going in the 7 to 10 day range. So that gives us something to track. Right now, the European model is the only one that shows really any real development with this. And we'll see if that changes over the next couple of days, but just know things are not going to stay quiet forever in the Atlantic, and will likely pick back up here going towards the end of the month, and especially the start and middle of August. Alrighty, folks, I appreciate you watching, appreciate you hanging in there. Hope you have a great rest of your Wednesday out there, and I'll see you all tomorrow.